So my name's Shiloh. On Telegram, I go by LT Snake Plissken because we always all have these ridiculous usernames. So I've been in blockchain technically since like 2011, but been really working in the area for the last 3 years with ELK Finance. So I'm from Canada, and we've got team from all over. And so
my name's Simon. I go by the avatar DoubleClick. And I work with ELK Finance probably for 3 years now. And my main role is community, but I do quite a bit of outreach and a tiny little bit of business development as well. And I'm super keen to be here with Q because one of my passions is looking at how to get community together to work with DAOs and try and foster the swarm sort of mentality of looking to work together to create a good positive goal for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of my passion in the industry.
Cool. Very good. Tell us more about ELK Finance for those who never heard about it. What is it and what makes you different to all the others?
Yeah, so ELK Finance is basically, I'm going to throw out these crazy DeFi words that you hear over and over, but I'll try to get down to the bare bones here. But we're a cross-chain infrastructure project, basically simply allowing chains that are currently kind of isolated in their own little silos to connect, pass messages, value across chains between all of them. So you can think of something like layer 0, but we're taking the decentralized route. So we are building a permissionless and as trustless as possible cross-chain environment wherein developers can permissionlessly, without asking us a thing, create a custom bridge or cross-chain dApp by implementing our contracts and using the underlying infrastructure, which is ElkNet, to basically move things across chain. Now, ELK has been around since March 2021. We launched the ElkNet, which was, at the time, kind of a simple bridge in June of that year. And it's been operating since, now around 30 different blockchains. We haven't lost a single token. And I think we might be the oldest bridge that has never had an exploit. So that's a pretty cool fact. And so we're trying to empower developers and users alike to simplify this cross-chain deployment to basically have their token or dApp or whatever on as many different chains as they would like. And currently we're focusing on EVMs, but we want to hop into the non-EVM environment too as well. And we've got our ELK token, which kind of represents the project in that it's kind of the basis on which everything operates, much like ETH on Ethereum, but you just replace a blockchain with our middle layer here that is basically a little bit more than an indexer, but not quite a blockchain, so that we're going to use to secure the network and basically harness the ability to capture the fees that are earned through user transactions of utilizing the bridge. So
yeah, it's trying to make a positive experience for everybody. I mean, it's that empowerment of a new project coming in. They've made a token. They're now looking to take the next step and make that token cross-chain. Why would you take the effort and the expense and the expertise to try and make your own bridge when you can? That's already done for you. You can come to ELK Finance. And yeah, as Shiloh said, without permission, without having to sign up any forms, deploy your bridge using ELK Finance and make your custom, your token, your project go cross chain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what sort of the real messages we're making tech for other people to use.
Very interesting and very cool. Yeah, I like it. You're one of the partners of Q. What made you excited about Q in the first place? What motivated you to do this partnership, and what do you think is the added value?
Yeah, well, I mean, Q is my favorite letter, so of course. But all jokes aside, I think the importance of DAOs and basically sharing that with the world and having them operate in various environments is going to require different solutions. So this is where we come in to partner with Q to create kind of that cross-chain element where you could have a DAO on Q, but people could kind of vote from any different chain they would like, right? And so we can enable that using our cross-chain messaging service with ElkNet. So people don't have to go through the trouble of moving from blockchain to blockchain, and ElkNet can all handle that under the hood. So people can kind of store their assets wherever, which not only decreases the congestion on a network by spreading it out. It also allows a bunch of users to interact with Q blockchain even if they don't know it. Which is, I think, pretty cool, and kind of opens up the door to kind of some innovative DAO solutions that might not have been possible on a single blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And in a way, sort of mirrors what we're trying to do with allowing people to make their own bridge. Why would we try and invent our own cross-chain DAO when Q-chain are already doing such a fantastic job?
Right.
So same sort of goes by, we people are interested in our technology because what it empowers them to be able to do. And we want to be able to empower our community to have decentralized voting system, to be able to make decisions about our protocol. And why would we try and reinvent that wheel when Q is doing such a fantastic job with that already?
Yeah.
And that's why we want to sort of embody, empower, utilize Q's technology as they're driving sort of the real world asset, but also the DAO element as well. Yeah.
You just mentioned voting. How important is it to have a bridge and to the ability to act cross-chain when it comes to voting? Because usually voting is on one chain,
mm-hmm.
right? You just need that one token, you make votes for that one project. Mm-hmm. So why that matters for you?
Yeah. So
I guess for us, Elk, because it is so cross-chain, I mean, that's a whole sort of thing. It would be wrong of us to give an Elk token on one chain more emphasis than a token on our other 30 blockchains or however many blockchains are yet to come. So the fact that it is across all chains, and that ELK token has the same voting power on Ethereum as it does on AVAX, as it does on any of the other chains, it is a really important element for us.
Mm-hmm. And if we look at additional assets, like you took the Q token, for example, and you could create a cross-chain version of that, and people who hold it on a different chain might be less inclined to vote and participate in governance if they, let's say, bridge it across or hold it somewhere else. Well, then I just won't vote. It's too much work to have to move it back or do this and then pay the fees, wait, and I have to keep track of all my assets. There's enough to keep track of. So if you could take a wrapped version of Q and also vote with that from other blockchains, I think, and then you amplify this to other tokens, other DAOs, you can have, at the end of the day, focusing on the user experience. It doesn't matter where they are, they can still participate, and it removes a barrier. Mm-hmm. So even a single click saved is something that's going to, hopefully increase participation.
Cool, very good. How important is governance for Elk Finance itself? Because, there has been some exploits connected to bridges. So, how do you tackle this? How important is it for your project?
Is a question security or is a question governance?
Both, but it's connected, right?
Okay, so governance, at the moment, the decisions are made by the team, but we want to move to a position of complete decentralization, and to have governance is critical to that dream. It also is embodiment of the Web3 dream as well. Communities need to be empowered to have decisions within the protocol themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of why we're so keen to have a governance structure. People need to feel that they have got a true and real say within the process. In terms of security, that's absolutely fundamental to us. We are very honored's the wrong word, but very pleased that we've not had an exploit to date. And I do think that's very much to do with how our technology is set up, which possibly Shiloh could maybe touch a bit more on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the tech is a big part of it. we have built-in protections, knowing that bridging is fundamentally the most risky asset class, or I shouldn't say asset class, but operation in DeFi. That's where 60-something% of all exploited funds originate from, is due to a bridging hack. So being in that environment, I think it's automatically risky, but it also calls out for a safe solution. So we have these mechanisms in place, like protecting from 51% attacks and double spends, all of those things, limits to transactions across chain in case there were an entire blockchain exploited, this or that. But I think also when we introduce the security of governance and having the community participate in those decisions is something like we value. One of the largest decisions we made is when we changed a little bit of the community treasury and established an insurance fund. And we've done all this, and we did that through a vote, actually, and it passed overwhelmingly. And we spent so much time in the detail, and our community really came through, and they kind of proved that they trust us. But I think we need to continue to offer opportunities to show where we're going and how we want this to be in the community's hands at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And I think the only way to do that is through a DAO, and I think with security in mind. So where we have that involvement, we have these talented developers from some of the greatest industries in crypto and outside of crypto even, to help us kind of build something that works for everyone and is easy, right? Mm-hmm. So I think balancing those requires the DAO, requires the security focus.
That's true, yeah. And you just mentioned the transition that you can see all over the industry, right? Mm-hmm. But what happened to code is law, this big narrative that we loved for so many years, right? Yeah. Is it fading? Is there a new narrative coming? Or mm-hmm. I mean, it's enough for Bitcoin, right? But for many use cases, it's not. So what do you think about this big narrative?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because obviously we talk about trust, but we're not really trusting. We shouldn't have to trust anybody. We are in a trustless society is not the right word. Ecosystem. Thank you. We're in a trustless ecosystem, and for me that can't change. But I don't think governance erodes that narrative for me. I think governance just gives us a clear way for decisions to be carried out still in a trustless way. So I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive, and I don't think one has to go to overrule the other. I think very much people still need to value the trustlessness of the system. But yeah, as I say, that with the new DAO systems coming through, I think they can be both work together in harmony.
And like you see like the old code is law, and it's like, yeah, well, sometimes that code results in somebody exploiting something. You look at like just a few months ago, a Kyber swap, right? And millions of dollars were stolen. Okay, yes, that was the code. Technically it was possible. But are those people going to face consequences if they're found? 100%. So the code might be law on the chain, but it's not going to be law, and it's not going to keep people safe unless the code itself is safe. So you need to make the laws just. And so you need to make your code safe. And if your code is safe, then your code is law, because it is facilitating trust and building that. And I think that's more the kind of the way we want to go, right? In blockchain as a whole. So
cool. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for your time.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's lovely to speak to you. Thank you.